Today is a good day.
The most anticipated night of the year.
Because I am here to tell my story, full of love and generosity.
I'm hoping people will relate, but
Do you know how it feels?
To ignore?
to laugh, to dodge the questions, to create a character,
To erase your pain and perils, to forgive.
To wish I'd had the chance.
to try to focus, and not physically cringe.
To make an effort.
To sob on bathroom floors. To dance and holler and run.
To hustle for it, to wonder how the hell you made it out alive.
In nowhere, North Carolina.
I'm trying my best, but in all seriousness,
It fucking sucks.
I'm Shelby, and I'm program director for this year's show.
My name is Gus, and I'm one of the directors for this year's show.
My name is Camden. I'm another one of the directors for this year's show.
Too Monologues is an annual showcase about identity at Duke. Our goals are to foster a more honest, empathetic, and supportive campus community.
Although we share a name with the Me Too movement, we were actually started in 2009 by a Duke student, and now it's an event that goes on at college campuses all over the country. And topics in the monologues tonight range over all sorts of things, including topics relevant to the Me Too movement.
Some house rules: please silence your phone. This event is being recorded, so please do not walk past that camera back there if you see it, and don't record on your personal devices, please.
And to be clear, monologues for this show, and just kind of how the show works, is that monologues are submitted anonymously by members of the Duke community, primarily Duke students, but all types of members of the Duke community. And then we cast actors, student actors that you're going to see perform today, to perform them. So to be clear, the actors you will see performing did not write the monologues or the material being presented.
Our show does include some content that may trigger emotional reactions. Please refer to your programs, which are available in QR codes posted around the room, and in print copies for any content warnings. Also, if you feel the need to step out of the room at any moment during the show, please feel free to do so.
Thank you. And if you need some support during the show, we do have a representative from CAPS here outside, so if you go downstairs in room 108, if you need someone to talk to during or after the show, they will be there to support you if you need to step out.
Me Too Monologues asserts that no one is alone in the things that we experience, and we believe that all stories deserve to be heard and told and shared.
That being said, we highly encourage audience participation at Me Too Monologues. We especially encourage snapping, stomping, to encourage the actors performing, to encourage any writers that may be in the audience tonight, and to encourage the audience members around you.
Awesome. And another note, as you can see, this theater is fully lit. It will be fully lit throughout the whole show. So the actors will be sitting on the side. They'll be able to see you. You can see them. Y'all can see each other. So please have your best theater etiquette on. Don't be talking. Don't be on your phone. Don't be making any noise. We would really appreciate your respect to the actors, the writers, and all their hard work.
And we want to thank all writers who submitted pieces for your courage and trust, and also just anybody who supports the Me Too Monologues and its mission.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
I am in love with my best friend. Damn, feels pretty good just getting to write that here. And as I sit here rereading the reality of what I've written over and over, like over and over, it feels weird but freeing at the same time. But don't get too excited, as this is the only context in which I will ever say it, and I will be deleting this document off of my computer as soon as I've submitted it here. Have you ever been in love with your best friend? Well, if you haven't, it fucking sucks. Really would not recommend. You have to constantly see the person you care about all the time. You can only express your love for them in one way and conceal what you're actually feeling. And that can bring more harm than good. It's not just a crush that didn't work out. and then you have to see them in woo, or a hookup friend that you lose and then miss when you're drunk, or an ex that you never want to see again and it's popping up on Hinge. No matter the fact you have a big fat crush on your best friend, you have to see them all the time and ignore it. Added to the hard to ignore part, loving your best friend is also confusing as hell. Your friendship feelings and love feelings get all wound up together and it gets hard to distinguish one from another. You start to question the friendship. Am I just in love? Or you start to question the love. Do I just like my best friend, like, a lot? Like, weirdly a lot. Am I mistaking my feelings? And then you add in the piece that, of course, it has to be a silent thought. If your other friends knew you felt this way, they'd be confused. And you'd never hear the end of it. But when she gets mad at me, it hurts in a way that when other friends don't. When I'm in a group setting, all I want to do is gravitate to her first. When something good or bad happens, I go to tell her right away. When I'm cruising down the highway and give a good song and smile, it's usually her I picture. And when I hold her hand, platonically, I shiver. It's weird because I support her getting with other people, and in fact encourage it. When she tries on different coloured tank tops and sure of what to wear, I compliment her. When she goes to shooters and spends the night at different dorms, I say how fun and exciting that must be. And when she doesn't know what to do with a guy, I give her my best advice, so that it'll actually work. And I actually want it to because I want her to be happy. Now, if I were to be hearing this monologue for the first time, I'd think to myself, this guy seems pretty weird and lonely. He probably stares lovingly and creepingly at pictures of his best friend in his dorm room alone. Well, surprise, I have a sex life of my own that doesn't revolve around her. Shocking, I know. I managed to not let her get in the way. But sometimes thoughts about her do pop up when I really don't want them to. I try to push them down, but they always find their way back up, and then, surprise, I have to see her the next morning, pretend as though I didn't have a crazy dream about us the night before. It feels guilty. It feels sad, and it feels lonely. The only person I want to talk to about my love is my best friend, which is her, so I can't. You might be rooting for me at this point. Tell her! She loves you back! No, I hate to break it to you, but no. I wish, but... And trust me, I've day-dreamt about it way too many times in all the different contexts in which I tell her, but I'm 99% sure she doesn't feel the same way back about me. I mean, there have been moments when I thought, maybe, but no, they were friendship moments. She doesn't feel the same way back. And even if I wanted to tell her, and I have contemplated it many times, I can't risk ruining the friendship. She's my person. And if she doesn't feel the same way back, which I'm pretty sure she does not, I don't know if you'd be able to bounce back. Would you feel invaded, confused, violated? I worry. I also don't want to feed into the trope that no girl has a guy best friend who isn't romantically into her. I mean, yes, that is the case here, but I swear it's never that. I don't love my other girlfriends. I love her, and it's different. I felt this way since I saw her for the first time in sophomore year, and ever since then, I've tried to push it away, but I think at this point, a piece of me will always love her. But do you ever love someone so much that it hurts? Because this one hurts. I'm excited to find love one day, I'm excited to see her get married, and I hope I'm right there, standing to the side. I think a piece of me will always be clung to her. I'm worried I'll always want to be the groom. I'll forever be grateful for her, but it fucking sucks. I love you, and I hope one day you're going to tell me you love me back. But you probably won't. And I need to be okay with that. I'm going to try to keep getting over you.
Last night, I dreamt I was biting into a juicy donut peach. Every satisfying crunch of skin and sugary juice filling your mouth was worth the bits that would get stuck between your teeth and not come out until hours later. I was with my mom. My sister was always at school or on a play date, and my dad was always at work, so she took me around a lot. To the grocery stores, to the farm stands, to the farms themselves to pick fruit right off the vine. Often I drive so I could practice for my driver's test. We'd drive down long roads of nothing but tall stalks of corn and sunflowers because I was too scared to drive on the busier roads. I remember numerous evenings where we'd drive home as the sun set on a single stoplight in the middle of acres of farmland. In my dream, I told my mom that all I wanted was to bite into a juicy, beautiful peach. And all she wanted, well, she wanted two things. To spend time with her daughter before she left for college, and to get farm fresh vegetables for dinner, so we drove to the farm to pick peaches. It was that 4 p.m. hour where everyone's too tired to do anything but sit around and wait for dinner, and I remember the sweet juice and crisp skin releasing a surreal calmness in me. Everything was at peace. I woke up when I was halfway through the peach, and tears started welling in my eyes. A lot of people tell me I have a shitty mom. Oh, I know it's not my place to say, but your mom is exceptionally shitty. Sometimes I agree. I rarely call her, and when we do, we never talk for more than 10 minutes. I've hung up on my mom because she was being a bitch. But really, I disagree. My mom's love for me overflows like the juice of a peach. When I was young, my mother used to tell me that nothing mattered more than my own happiness. She never forced me to do anything except ballet class, and even that she let me skip when I didn't really want to go. She wished I would play all day and like Daisy Buchanan grow up a beautiful fool in an idyllic world of privilege and carelessness. Sounds great, doesn't it? It is, except for, well, when it isn't. You see, my mother only wanted me to be happy. She didn't care if I succeeded. She actually did the opposite of pushing me to succeed. She pushed me to try less, be less ambitious, because I am a woman only capable of doing womanly things like nursing other people or pleasing men with my appearance. In my mother's eyes, I was nothing more than an average, happy, man-pleasing fool. My mother's favorite word was average. That's all anyone, especially an average person like me, should ever try to be. That's why it made sense when Stanford and MIT rejected me, because average people like me don't belong there. That's why I shouldn't push myself, because average people don't solve important problems or fix things. We just live our meaningless average lives in ignorant bliss until we find ourselves back into the dirt as ignorant and unconscious as we were before. That's why it didn't make sense when I won things, and when I did win things, she was surprised more than anything. That's why when I studied for math competitions, she threatened to make me quit, because I was wasting time as an average person trying to compete with geniuses when I could just be happy. That's why when I drew pictures with my sister, she told me that I should never draw again, because my drawings were so bad they made my sister's worse just by looking at them, because I am an average person and average people aren't allowed to be good at things, because she just wanted to be better at something than me, and drawing was the one thing I wasn't allowed to be better at than her. My success made her upset. That escalated quickly. My mother's favorite word soon became nonstop all summer about how she had failed at raising me. How I was ugly and stupid and overweight and rude, and how could anyone ever want to be friends with me? And how did she ever raise someone as rude as me or incompassionate? She just wanted me to be happy, but she regretted not being stricter with me because I turned out so awful and barbaric. Out of all the insults she can throw at me, one hurts the most. The one where she says I don't respect her and think I'm better than her. It's the least true of all the insults. She just doesn't respect herself, and I really wish she did. My mother is one of the most loved people I know. She's the matriarch of the Chinese community, not because she organizes all the events, but because everyone respects her. All the parents look to my mom for advice on parenting, on relationship issues, on friend drama, vacation tips, making their way in America as immigrants, literally everything. As a child, people didn't know me as me. They knew me as my mother's daughter. My mom is the friend they all need and the positive energy in every room. My mom has done everything, from being a CS lecturer at a top university, to working as a barista, to working in 2 dance companies, starting her own prom dress company, and more. She is one of the most incredible people alive, yet she feels like a failure and projects it on me. So I forgive her and apologize. I tell my friends about all the bad times we had, all the times she made me feel like shit. She doesn't understand that my way of searching for happiness isn't resigning in mediocrity, and that my generation has different ideas of what it means to be a woman. When I run crying into the room next door, I only remember her stomping on me with criticism and envy. But I forget to tell my friends about the beaches. That dream I had was more of a memory than a fantasy. My mom always buys me my durian when I come home because that's my favorite fruit. She also stocks up on avocados, which no one else in our family really eats. My mom once drove 6 hours just to pick up my friend from Boston so he could participate in a math competition he otherwise wouldn't be able to partake in. My mom is full of love and generosity, oozing out like a peach. I always complained about the pulp that got stuck in my tea. But I'm trying to do more justice to the juice.
This is where I was born, nowhere in North Carolina. Somewhere along gravel roads and tractor tires, I grew up. There's crawfish my brother tried to put in the microwave, and June bugs we tied to strings and flew like kites in the summer. The place where I am loved and doted and dressed like a China doll, yet to be broken. Those days were good. Only they would have lasted. Life sped forward fast enough to knock me to my knees. 11 years old, Mom is sick and things won't be the same. 12, I dream I'm a famous actress, headlining playbills and decorating my penthouse with ponies. 13, the thread collapses. I'm back in school, and I want nothing more than to be liked and wanted, and I would be downright stupid to get there. And in the process, my family burns down because my mother isn't herself, and my father has a temper which, when directed towards me, incinerates my soul into ashes. And it's all my fault because I am irreparably bad. I am puddles of tears on the floor, crybaby ridiculous. I am too sensitive, defunct. Something is wrong with me. I am a block of death weight in the corner to be laughed at and punished and mocked because between screams and shrieks and cold blank stares, I am nothing. They valedictorian. Out of hundreds of students, I am the best, the brightest. I have won. But I am a cheater. I am a workaholic. I am alone. I am depressed. And no one sees beneath the facade of success as they clap me off to a prestigious university. Don't you understand? There's no winning here. Because where I'm from, we don't go to Duke. Because when I'm depressed or anxious, Duke will send me to a therapist, but where I'm from, it's all liberal nonsense. No one cares about how I feel in the real world. Grow up, tough it out, get over it. You jerk a knot in your kids, you don't put them on Adderall. And forget voting, sure. I'm irresponsible because I don't, but if I'm red, I'm a bigot. If I'm blue, I'm woke. If either way, I will be spit up and chewed out of someone's potty mouth like a washed up canceled gumbo. Don't you understand? There's no winning here. Because when everyone else has a different truth to tell, there's no choice but to lose your own. Here I am. I am nothing. Yet, I am hopeful, because I have found truth. Through pain and desperation, I have seen the light. 18, I meet a group of people I never imagined existed. Kind, with a compassion in their eyes that melted down my walls, with arms wide open, big enough to hold all my tears. I have a family who loves me when I'm too nervous to order at a restaurant, loves me when I'm difficult and exhausted and angry, loves me when I am breaking under the pressure because I am not good enough. Family that doesn't look like me, family that doesn't dress like me or talk like me, family that's not from where I'm from, but family that is going where I'm going. And I met a God who loves me so much that he died so that I could live. And not just live, so that I could be free, so that I could dance and holler and run after every good thing he's put in my heart to run after. So that I could help kids like me who feel like they could never belong, whose tears haven't been honored and kept tucked away somewhere safe. So I could sing and skip and one day fly into glory. Maybe some of you, or a lot of you, don't believe in God, and I'm not here to convince you. In fact, I'm not here at all, not on stage. Tonight, I am the audience just like you, probably with tears in my eyes because I am no longer ashamed to cry them. Because when I am weak, I am strong. When I am hurt, I am healed. When I am broken, I am whole. 20, I am here, and I am hopeful.
Please don't sit here and act like you understand where I'm coming from. Do you know how it feels to have spent your whole pregnancy alone? No, you don't. You've had a support system since the beginning. And last time I checked, you and your child's father were in a happy, healthy relationship. I have nobody but this baby in my stomach. Being a black single mother was never even supposed to be a part of my story. I vowed to myself that I would break generational curses and raise my children in a two-parent household. Every day that goes by, I think to myself if I should have gone through with the abortion. But as soon as I saw her on the ultrasound machine, I knew I had to keep her. I even tried to work it out with her father, but he's impossible to work with. He's made it very clear that he doesn't want anything to do with me or her. And when we got back together, I found out he had another family, and the girl was pregnant too. And what makes it even worse is that he's actively involved in his kid's life with her, but doesn't want anything to do with my baby. He hasn't been to any doctor's appointments, he hasn't bought anything for her, he hasn't even given me any money to buy her anything. Anything that little girl has right now, her mama had to hustle for it. I decorated and furnished her entire nursery by myself. I even fell off a ladder and landed in the hospital because I had no help. It breaks my heart to have to see her grow up, knowing that I chose the wrong man to be her father. But enough of the pity party. I don't want your sympathy. I came here to tell you to mind your business and stop talking about me and my situation online. See, I've had it hard enough. And you say you're my friend, but you're talking bad about me, trying to degrade me as a mother? That's no friend of mine. I haven't received any phone calls or texts from you, checking up on me or giving me any advice, so don't say you care because you don't. I may not have a 2023 Mercedes-Benz, and I definitely don't live without government assistance, but I'm doing the best that I can to provide for my baby. And once she's here, she'll understand and appreciate the sacrifices that I've made for her. I sold all my designer handbags and designer clothes to buy her baby clothes in her crib. I even sold my new Jeep and downgraded to something that's paid off so I wouldn't have any extra bills to pay for. This little girl has humbled me and changed my life completely, and she's not even here yet. I'm a better person because of her, and that's why I will not let you or anybody else discredit me. We don't need her father or any fake love or support, because there's plenty of women in my shoes that are successful and have raised some wonderful people. I strongly believe that I am more than capable of giving my daughter the world by myself with no help. I haven't given up, and I don't plan to. Now listen, I appreciate your concerns, but we're fine, and we will be fine. If you want to get something for her, though, I do have a baby right here. But I will not be mad or disappointed if you don't. Just don't like me. And if you don't want to, then just say that, instead of giving out some excuse on why you couldn't get her anything, because I am so tired of excuses. And if you won't do it for me, at least do it for her, because she's an innocent baby. Oh yeah, and next time you want to voice your concerns about somebody else's life, remember that just because you have everything now, does not mean God won't take it all away tomorrow. You need to humble yourself and appreciate the life that you have. Be kind to struggling mothers and offer support and help instead of turning your nose up at them. If we had it all figured out all the time, there would be no lessons learned. I say all of that to say, even though we're on two different paths, we're both still good mothers, and I'm always here if you want to talk. Because we gotta stick together. But I do have a doctor's appointment in an hour, so I should go. But remember what I told you.
All I remember is dancing with my friends, spinning our stresses off the edges of our brains where they fell to our feet and we jumped on them, pounded until they lay dismembered on the ground. And we whirled away, swaying to the music, playing with whoever caught our gaze. And when my heart beat with the bass, I could erase my pain and perils in ways that made the endless pills look pitiful, and all of the ways in which my brain betrays me every day didn't exist. I felt alive. I hadn't felt like this in a long time. All I remember
Is that I was wearing jeans and a crop top. All I remember
is his hair. Brassy highlights grown out at the roots tumbled from his head, shining in the purplish red haze of club lighting. One too many drinks in. All I remember is looking at him. Not a gaze, not a stare, just a glance. I swear it was only a glance. But the immediate eye contact guarantees that he had been looking at me. Should I have known that was a bad sign? Sadly, I was too entranced by the spell that let me be myself that I didn't process it and turned to my friend who laughed. We were laughing at last. All I remember
is that some time must have slipped by and suddenly he was buying me drinks. I wish in that moment I had stopped to think. At the bar when they asked for a card and I couldn't provide ID, he poured my drink into his like a whiz. Isn't that a bad sign? Meant to remind me I'm not meant to be carefree at a club? A red flag right in front of my face.
And I see in a red haze, considering that my world is constantly ablaze and my panic attacks suffocate me daily.
They leave me shaking in a daze that closes up my throat, gasping for breath, having to remind myself it's not my last. Instead, the dread is all in my head.
I walk through fire every morning getting out of bed, the kind of tired where each smile takes years off my life.
But I digress. All I remember is a line in the cup. It must have been tequila, a shot, probably. But no, I couldn't be sure. It must have been more because he pushed his drink to my side and I obliged, too inebriated to hesitate. Wait, was he even drinking it?
Suddenly, all I remember becomes I remember it all, and he's forcing my neck up against a tiled wall, and I know it must have hurt because I had a bruise on the side of my nose for a week. I know I don't remember it all because I woke up the next morning with lips lined in blue and gloss with indigo. I pushed my legs together as I remember the moments when my pain must have met his pleasure.
All I know is my saving grace is that I didn't remember his face. So when the taste of alcohol or bright lights or thoughtless comment sends me spiraling back to that night, I will see hair and eyes and clothes strewn on the dirty bathroom floor, but I will see no more.
All I know is that I didn't talk about it for weeks. The words starting with R got lodged in my throat as I dodged the questions that demanded reflection. I refused to label what happened because I told myself that this was a consequence of my own actions. I can't help but wonder, what would have happened if I had heeded the warnings I'd heard my whole life? From my mom to my boss, I never thought that their words fell on deaf ears, but clearly the decree failed, and I had become no more than one of their cautionary tales. Still, the questions linger. What does it mean when the medication meant to make my day bearable doubles every drink? Can I use it to give myself a break? A moment of escape?
All I know is that the first time I told a friend, I labeled it as bad sex, possibly lacking in latex. And she said,
No, that's rape.
in that moment, the mortar crumbled under the stones that it held, and the gates of hell came crashing down. She held me in her arms and all the parts of my soul, tears flowing directly from my heart.
All I know is I will never feel safe in a way that I could before. The nights I used to look forward to, I now abhor because I never know for sure when the panic will strike me down like lightning, leaving me sobbing on the bathroom floor. In those moments, I wish I could bolt from my body and slip out of my skin and fly to the sky where my soul could be whole, unscathed by the events of that day, that night where I fought and lost the fight of my life.
All I know is that the signs on every bathroom stall tell me it's not your fault. And I try with all my might to make my thoughts comply. But those same cautionary tales that failed to keep me safe that night have taught me that now my body is practically a waste. Scathed by scars too dark, marred by memories that make men my enemies. They hold me hostage. Knowing what the cost is, but still understanding the carnage. They were woven by men who mistreat girls like me, exploiting our insecurities. Men, seeking to keep secrets buried deep beneath the ground.
All I know is to pray to a God that I don't believe in to make it stop. To dissolve the memories into flaming hot fire so I can burn them away forever, or maybe rip them to shreds so I can throw them into the wind and grin, knowing that I can retire to simply being alive. But if God wanted me to forget, he would have just let me take another shot.
Drop the whole night
And move on with my life.
seen my boobs, right? Now, depending on your standards, that might be a large number, it might be small. But to understand it from my point of view, 6 people is a 500% increase from previous months. I know. Now, who are these lucky 6? Well, my boyfriend, enough said, moving on. My roommate. Yeah, you know that moment when you get out of the shower, you think about locking the door, and then you decide against it? Yeah, well, if you take anything away from this, lock the fucking door. My family doctor, who kept apologizing for her very cold hands, a radiologist who remarked that my breast tissue was a little thick and who laughed when I thanked her, an ultrasound technician who drew this tiny X on my breast, and my mother, who upon seeing them went, I always forgot you had these because in my mind you're still a little baby. A month ago, I had a lump. It was like the size of a marble, squishy, movable, didn't hurt, it didn't look weird, but it was there, and its existence was a problem. The embarrassing thing is that this discovery wasn't even self-pioneered, which is so anti-feminist, so anti-women's health, but that's not really the point. Or maybe it is. Check your boobs, okay? The point is that this concrete thing located beneath my nipple opened my eyes to the fact that I, as a person, was fucked. And to those of you who know me, you're probably thinking, we already knew this, you're so mentally ill. And you're right, my brain's chemicals, whack as hell. But we're talking about something being wrong with the things that defined my development as a woman. These titties. So upon finding this lump, tears were shed, and my search history kind of started to resemble like a prepubescent boy's search history. Boob. Lump in boob. Gotta tell if you have breast cancer. Yeah. That last one isn't very hormonally pent-up 13-year-old boy of me. We'll get back to hormones later. So, I went home that week and destroyed any figments of my babyhood to my mother by making her one of the 6, and then to the doctor who promptly referred me to the radiologist. Now, at the radiologist's office, I sit in this chair staring at this ginormous cement cow that has either been signed by people who have survived breast cancer or by people who have been left behind in the battle. Someone has written in memory of grandma on the udders. It feels wrong to laugh. So I just sit there and stare into these cows' non-pupil eyes and think back to every single person in my family who has ever had cancer, which is surprisingly high. And even though it seems that we have covered the entire GI system, I'm talking colon, pancreatic, stomach, okay, there's been no cases of breast cancer. I guess it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because the women of my past had no access to education, let alone a doctor who cared about women's health. So I'm called back into the ultrasound room. I sit and I stare at this tile with like birds painted on it, and the technician starts talking about some fair. I don't want to be here. Every couple of seconds, I just gaze down at my exposed boob, move with the motion of the ultrasound machine's wand. The tiny X she drew out of sight. So after a while, she leaves and comes back with the radiologist, who upon placing the wand on my boob, sighed. Your breast tissue is just what we call a little thick. Oh, okay. Thanks. She laughs and clicks around the machine as the wand does circles on my boob. My brain tells me that this isn't real, and I agree. I mean, what kind of plotline is this? The radiologist tells me that I do, in fact, have a tumor. Right? Hey, but it's benign, okay? Yeah, she connects the abnormal tissue to my menstrual cycle and my hormone levels. So not only is my uterus wreaking havoc on my stomach, lower back, vagina, but now also on the composition of my breast tissue. Great. Such a girl boss move. Getting your period is marked as this celebration for girls, right? It's your transition to being a woman. Well, ever since I got my period, it has been no celebration. It has given me back pain that has rendered me immobile in bed, cramps that make me feel like someone is clawing at my insides, and now these lumps seem to multiply with each of my cycles. And the research I've done, talk about mixed signals, okay? Like, I'm at a high risk for breast cancer, but it has no chances of increasing my risk of getting breast cancer. I can take the pill. That helps.
reflux. I should limit my caffeine intake. I should do more cardio. I should get my ovaries checked. I'm fucked. There's no other information than, hey, you have this lump, it's common, we promise. But we have no idea of its effects. So I stand here, 1 month later, 1 menstrual cycle later, with this new mass. This one is self-discovered, but still unnamed if anyone has any ideas. But this new mass is considerably smaller, like the size of a boba tapioca pearl, but it has unlocked a new skill of being painful. My mom tells me to just wait and see how it changes with my cycle. But this is my cycle now. Girl gets lump, girl waits to find out if lump is normal, all the while feeling completely abnormal. There are no happy endings. Okay, so check your boobs. Okay, check your loved one's boobs. And for the love of God, can we please get some funding for women's health research because I haven't had a cup of coffee in months and Bella Union now has gingerbread lattes.
Dear Dad, does it bother you that the first time I'm writing to you is for a submission to a school showcase? I'm sorry if it does. I think it bothers me too. Some days your death doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like I had a dad when he died. It just feels like another fact about myself. Hi, my name is Cameron, my favorite color is pink, and my father is dead. And it bothers me that I feel like that. Like your death is just an aspect of my life. Maybe it's because I was only 7 when you died. Please don't misunderstand me. I remember you. I remember lying in your stomach when we watched TV together. I remember trying to keep up as we exercised in the basement. And I remember when you taught me how to ride a bike. Most importantly, I remember playing soccer with you and doing math homework with you. You know what's funny? So many people my age have memories of their dad yelling at them while trying to teach them math. I'm not sure why, but it's a shared experience among most of my peers. And I'm grateful to have had that experience. I know it made me so mad at the time how frustrated we both would get. And now, those memories make me so happy. Happy that I had that relationship with you, a relationship that so many people have with their own fathers. It makes me feel normal. Home. Most importantly, I remember when you would take me to the park during the week and teach me new skills to play soccer. How you'd take me to the games on the weekend. I want you to know that I kept playing after you died. I played for so long. Longer than any of my siblings. I played because, yes, I love the sport, but I also played for you. I remember that we were playing soccer when you died. Naturally, it's one of my clearest and most significant memories of you. Does that bother you? Does it bother you that I saw you like that? Lying on the ground, struggling to take a breath? I'd like to know. I wish I had more time with you, and I wish I knew you better. I wish I knew the way so many of my own friends know their own fathers. I know his favorite color and his favorite restaurants and the countries he'd like to visit, and I don't know any of that. Of course, I could ask Mom or your sisters and your brothers. My siblings may even remember some of that information, but it's not the same as being able to hear you myself. I want to hear the excitement in your voice. You tell me your favorite childhood memory. Or we've known you long enough to fully understand your sense of humor, what you thought your life would be like in your 50s and 60s. It would have been nice to know you the way I know Mom today. I just wish I had a chance. I keep you with me. I a jacket of yours I could wear to give away. And stuffed animals you bought me that still line my bed. See you in the photos of our family that decorate my wall. Keep you with me, my heart. I love you. I miss you. I miss you deeply. Maybe we'll meet again someday.
12:55 p.m. Our meeting was supposed to start 55 minutes ago. My mom sat down, tapping her foot and biting at the tips of her fingers, checking her leather fossil watch. I nudged her shoulder as the receptionist at the Dallas police station called out her detective's name. We walked over to her desk and I held my mom's hand. She told us where to find our detective's floor. My last knuckle bent as I pressed the elevator button and held my arm out, giving my mom the space to walk through. Detective Whitaker led us to his office. He complimented my mother's blouse, but she nodded it off because of her preparation reading the common interrogation techniques. He led us through a series of doors, each one more foreign than the previous. His dark eyes matched his slacks and his corduroy jacket. The final door closed on my mother's fingertips, and before she could sneak it back in, he clicked the lock. He paced around the small square room, his breath bouncing off the thin walls. Hesitantly, he introduced it as an office. The office was too clean. Pillows embroidered with faith, love, family, and hope were strewn across the couch. A dark gray IKEA table with coffee mug stains was in the center of the so-called office, although there was no paper nor a computer. I played with the strings at the bottom of my hoodie, breaking apart the plastic ends. I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket, but I didn't have to check it to know that it was my mom, apologizing for not getting a female detective. Tell me the story again in as much detail as possible. Detective Whitaker raised his eyebrows, waiting for an answer. I scratched the skin on my lips, trying to formulate a sentence. After I told him what had happened, I grabbed the tissues from the table in front of me and finished off the entire box. Use more concrete detail. What more did he want from me? I stood in that office and the room fell silent for a few seconds. He smirked at me. And when I didn't answer, he reached across and nudged my chin up. I jerked my head away and his hand dropped onto my shoulder. I was tired of people moving my jaw. I heard a knock at the door and knew it was my mom, but he kept his eyes pointed towards me. I tried to mumble something about not feeling comfortable disclosing the name. Withholding the name is a selfish act, especially for a girl like you. I opened my mouth, ready to fire back and tell him how hard this was for me. How I still felt his hand on my jaw, still unable to speak. How I still felt the touch of my mother the night she came back. How I still didn't feel safe in my own home. I let the ink fall onto the page, seeping onto where my words were supposed to be.
Jewish has many perks. First off, unlike Christianity, Judaism does not preach abstinence. At least not in my Reform congregation. Now, I know what you're thinking. So is Judaism just one big gangbang? Well, to that I say it's complicated. I'm pretty sure at some point in the Torah, Moses asked the exact same question, to which God responded, have as much sex as you want, just safely and not on Yom Kippur. But in all seriousness, my temple is super progressive. In fact, they love sex so much, they designate an entire night of Hebrew school for Planned Parenthood to come speak to the high school students. For those of you who don't know, Hebrew school is like Sunday school, except it happens inconveniently on a Wednesday night. For this group of 9th through 12th graders, Planned Parenthood's arrival is the most anticipated night of the year. Free merch, free bananas, free condoms. What's not to love? Oh, I forgot to mention. My mom works at the temple as a Hebrew school teacher and supervises Planned Parenthood night. That was always wonderful and never awkward for me. After the meeting ended, my mom walked to the front of the room and grabbed a handful of condoms and a pamphlet on safe sex. My first thought was, I thought her and Dad knew how to do it by now. Then I was like, oh, no, those are for me. After the meeting ended, we got in the car and my mom locked the doors. Bad sign number 1. I should have run, but I didn't. Then she didn't turn on the car after we got in. Bad sign number 2. I could have walked home, it's not that far, but I didn't. Then she pulled out the condoms and the pamphlet on safe sex. Bad signs number 3 and 4. She handed me the pamphlet and told me to follow along as she read it to me. Well, this is dumb, I thought. It seemed pretty self-explanatory how to put on a condom. Then, I looked down at the pamphlet and realized it said, how to put on a condom in 19 steps. I know what you're thinking. 19 steps? After step 11, I wouldn't even want to fuck anymore. I probably, much like you, thought it was just 3 steps. Step 1, get hard. Step 2, put on a condom. Step 3, go at it. So anyway, my mom started reading the pamphlet aloud to me. It took everything in me not to physically cringe. But the worst part was, she acted out each of the steps using her hands. When we got to step 12, put on a condom, she opened the condom, mapped out a penis with her hands, and pretended to put the condom on her fake dick made of air. I wanted to die of a fatal heart attack right then and there. But I lived, and we made it through all 19 steps. So, not only am I scarred for life, but I am a safe sex expert. A sexpert, if you will.
Sophomore year, I wanted to be dead. Not in a suicidal way, never to the point that I wanted to act on it, to put my family and friends through that, to actually take the step of ending my life. But most days, I thought a lot about how it would be so much easier if I just didn't have to deal with the colossal weight of being alive. That was the year of the broken girl. The girl who stopped eating after her coach made a passing comment that she could lose it. She worked out every day and ate less than 1,000 calories to please the coach that called her a failure in front of the whole team. She stopped getting her period. She fell asleep in class. The girl who cried, looking in the mirror, unable to find a single thing she liked about herself. She hated her stomach and her legs. She hated her skin, and it became her outlet as she self-harmed, ripping the skin off her fingers in the perverted hope that someone would notice that she was hurting and that someone would get her help because she was too afraid to ask. The girl who got 4 hours of sleep at night, coming home from rowing late at night, falling asleep at the kitchen table, studying relentlessly in pursuit of one goal: get into Duke. Her body fell apart that year, not just because of the grueling workouts and the bleeding hands and the fucked up sleep schedule, but also because of the revolving door of medications and blood tests and specialists and nurses and countless drives to sterile offices where nobody could tell her why she was in so much pain. Why her joints were on fire. Why her mouth was full of excruciating ulcers. On top of all this, the broken girl came home from school every day and cried. She begged her mother to let her transfer because anything must be better than this. She asked why nobody liked her, why she was always left out, why people made jokes about her, called her stupid and fat, and said she'd never make it anyway. My heart breaks for this girl who convinced herself that she was worthless. She wasn't worthless. She just needed love. I look back on those years and wonder how the hell I made it out alive. And I'm so glad I lived, because maybe it was worth it, all the work I did to get into Duke. Well, it got me here, didn't it? Every small moment makes me feel incredibly grateful. Lunch with a friend or walking the gardens. I don't take a single thing for granted because I feel like I owe it to sophomore year, to the broken girl I used to be.
Disclaimer, I am a terrible person. In July of 2018, I saw British YouTubers Dan and Phil perform live. It was their second world tour, Interactive Introverts. Very snappy name. Their PR team did a good job with that one. The tagline for the tour was an equally snappy directive: give the people what they want. That line is stamped in white ink letters on the black t-shirt of the shirt I bought that night. The words didn't really register with me at first, but they sunk deep as if while I slept, the ink seeped through the cloth, into my skin, into blood, into bone. The next day, it was all I could think about. Give the people what they want. I'd never been more aware of my position as one of said people than I was on that night. I was an audience member, while Dan and Phil were actors, playing themselves, but exaggerated. Selves determined by the algorithmic data that would tell them what the people wanted. Except that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted the real person behind the celebrity. The one thing no celebrity can ever give me. I was able to mostly ignore this predicament. That is, until I developed my first celebrity crush. Let's call him R. R is an actor and a singer. I first came across his work in July of 2021, almost exactly 3 years after the Dan and Phil tour. Since then, I've done all of the typical Stan moves, following him on social media, waiting till midnight for new music drops, watching live streams of his performances, drooling over magazine spreads with him in them. I've also had vivid fantasies of myself in R. Some more graphic than others. I have this one recurring one where we end up on the same plane because he's flying to campus to play LDOC, and we really hit it off, so he asked me to give him a tour of Duke, which of course he does. I have dreams about him too. Dreams where R and I meet in real life and he hates me. Can't stand the sight of me, especially when he finds out I'm a fan. And why wouldn't he react that way? if he knew the utterly violating thoughts that flood my imagination whenever I look at a picture of him. If I were R, I would smash all my electronic devices and never leave my house again. It hurts knowing that we'll never meet in real life. And even if we did, it would be in the meet and greet line for one of those world tours like that one that was 4 years ago. Our interaction would consist of a few words at most, a hug if I'm lucky, then on to the next person who might not look or sound like me, but who would be identical in every other way. Because I'm just a fan, and he's just an object of my obsession. Of course he's more than that. He's someone I admire, someone I'm proud of, someone who I laugh at for being goofy on TikTok, but he's not someone I'll ever get the chance to know, which is what I really want. I know that wanting a relationship of some kind with someone doesn't make me a bad person, but rest assured I am worthy of that introductory disclaimer. For example, last summer there was a lot of speculation going around about R's dating life. And a few different reactions to this speculation. Mostly I was angry on R's behalf. Everybody's entitled to privacy, even celebrities, and I was furious at these so-called fans who refused to respect that. But I wasn't just angry. I was jealous. I genuinely didn't want R to be in a relationship because it ruined all of the storylines I've concocted for us in my imagination. My R isn't tied down by a romantic partner. My R is around whenever I want him to be, except my R isn't real, so you'd think that the real R's relationship wouldn't matter, but they do. They matter because they remind me that my R is a fabrication. They remind me of what I will never have, and they remind me what a hypocrite I am. I preach about respecting celebrities, but I get annoyed at the idea of R dating someone because that leaves less room for me in his life, which need I remind you, I'm not even a part of. But he's a part of mine, and therein lies the issue. While part of me wants nothing more than for us to meet, to have our infuriatingly unconnected lives converge, another part of me wouldn't be able to look him in the eye. And still, another part of me knows that I would be profoundly disappointed. When you create a character, you have the freedom to shape them however you choose. Their looks, their personality, it's all your choice. That's what I've done with R. I've created a new person in his likeness that only exists in my mind. I'm Pygmalion, and I'm Narcissus, and I am a terrible person. I'm a terrible person because it's not just R. I do this with people from my real life, too. I am a terrible person because I hate that other people have autonomy. There, I said it. I hate that other people can't just do the things I want them to do and act the way I want them to, exactly in the way I want them to. Sometimes I wish I could just reach into people's head and flip a switch of some kind that would make them act the way I want them to. And not just act that way, but want to act that way, for my benefit. What does that make me if not a terrible person? I don't even know why I'm writing this one. It's a piece of self-loathing that doesn't add anything meaningful to anyone's day. I'd say I'm hoping people will relate, but my goal isn't to label anybody else a terrible person. Even if you had this exact same thoughts as I did, I wouldn't call you terrible. Your thoughts can't hurt anyone, as long as you're not acting on them. Think away. I know that doesn't make any logical sense. Either we're both terrible or neither of us are. Maybe I'm just more forgiving of others than I am of myself. I guess what I'm after are a few of empathy. Yeah, or understanding from people who might have their own disclaimers. Disclaimers that they wouldn't apply to me. Maybe we can't think better of each other until we think better of ourselves, too.
2021. February 4th, 2021. I need to meditate. Way too emotional for something. Angry. Why am I angry? Angry's not the right word. Short fuse. Frustration. Life is great. Life in the new house is incredible. Am I giving enough attention to my studies? IDEK. We balling up. My brain feels fuzzy. I'm tired of it. I'm smoking too much. God, chill with that. Life got me feeling good. Confident. I don't think about my family enough or the boys back home. Does that make me a bad person? Call more. Make an effort. So much on my mind. All the time. I'm not even financially independent yet. Damn. Reflection is tight. February 12th, 2021. Today is a good day. Sun is shining, coffee in me, and I'm feeling spectacular. Realize my love for playing cool shit. Valentine's gonna be a ton. Need to work out a date, but I'm not really worried. Feeling especially carefree today. Absolutely love my disposition. Play hard is my way of life. Maybe I should change this to work harder. Always on my mind. It's definitely the stupid environment, but I love it though. Fuck you, can't you? Missed the gym the last 2 days, but that's alright. Gonna chill, grind all day, and then get a pump in before seeing Ashley. Fuck! Mojo momentarily deflated. I tried to get my adult US passport for the second time, but apparently I need my birth certificate. Same again next week, I guess. Music. Do I have a newfound appreciation after that last mushroom trip? Definitely. I feel like I never really realized how much of an integral part of my life music is. But that awesome trip amplified my appreciation for the show. I want to create. I want to create a beautifully dope song before I leave this plane of existence. Heart emoji. February 15th, 2021. Corona scare. It's Valentine's, but that's all right. Excited to plan this week, plus potentially an away form one. Things are slowing down this week. Don't see anyone. Focus on yourself, your work, and music. We'll be back soon. Tap feeling better. What a fucking bucket list move! I love it, although I am pretty conscious of its significance. LOL already brainstorming my next one. Chill. Have all my life to decide. I don't want to get it tatted everywhere. That being said, there are some that will be sick. Spirituality. Not sure I have time right now, but definitely want to read up on harmony. School's been okay, much more with finesse out the gangway of late. But Ashley's work ethic has got me inspired. I really need to apply myself to the things I'm passionate about. March 15th, 2021. Wow, what a week. I can't believe that the trip to Miami surpassed the one to Newport in so many ways. I've definitely come back more mature, my eyes more open to the opportunity in life, as well as all the bullshit that governs Duke. Tom infected me with his positivity and energy, which has certainly rubbed off on me in my return. I met some amazing people, Sorrel, Eleni, Bella, Mara, Madison, Kyle, and so many more. We stayed at some beautiful places, and Ashley was a vibe unlike I've ever known. What an amazing week! Sex on a hotel balcony with an amazing view, bucket list. Daydreaming in the sun and into the night, bucket list. VIP table for Ashley's birthday dinner, bucket list. I miss the food so much. I may have COVID, but I've come back with a vengeance. No more weed, grind to the max, find a wife. Most of these new girls aren't with my time or energy. Make bank and travel. Cut off all the people who don't provide anything, not even their own enjoyment from my life. The collective lunch is tomorrow. 15 months of work for a penny. And put all my energy into this today and tomorrow. December 4th, 2021. It's been a minute. Whole lot going on in my life right now. Too much to write down, so I'll try to condense and synthesize.
I know what you're thinking. I am a terrible person.
Irreparably bad.
In an idyllic world of privilege and carelessness.
Smoking too much. Pretty weird and lonely.
Intoxicated.
So anti-feminist.
But I digress.
All I know is
It's definitely the new environment.
the fucked up sleep schedule.
What type of plot line is this?
Please don't misunderstand me.
I figured it out, and I don't blame you.
I am no longer ashamed.
I don't take a single thing for granted.
You might be rooting for me at this point.
You should be the hero here.
Well, to that I